In Elaine Starling's NDE, she was asked one startling question by God that changed the course of her entire life. Watch along in today's episode to find out what happened. Before we get to the episode, I have two quick notes for you. First, I would love to hear from you. What is one question that would change the course of your life? Tell me in the comments. And secondly, I'm giving away my Connect to Your True Self mini course for free. If you want to feel more deeply connected to your divine nature, in my description box, you'll find the link to get my free Connect to Your True Self mini course. Would you like to start by sharing the story of your NDE and what led up to that?
Yeah, absolutely. It was interesting. I was around my birthday in early December 2004, and I had a business that I was running, and it was just really challenging. And I could not figure out how to restructure my business because of the industry I was in and lots of other reasons. And so I told my husband, I'm just going to stop thrashing. I'm going to stop trying to figure it all out. My life is blessed. I am so fortunate in so many different areas. I feel guilty wanting more. So I'm just going to stop thrashing. I'm just going to settle for the status quo. And it is what it is. So a month later, on New Year's Day, 2005, we're in New Zealand on vacation. We've been off the plane for over a week and we're walking around. We had breakfast. All of a sudden, I get tunnel vision with sparkles around the outside. And then my balance gets kind of wonky. And my husband sits me down on a park bench. And all of a sudden, my right arm goes numb and the right side of my face goes numb. Those are classic symptoms that you're having a stroke. So my husband took me to a little medical center. They didn't have a hospital in town at the time. And they gave me an aspirin. They asked me to describe a picture on the wall. And I knew exactly what it was. But the words that came out of my mouth made absolutely no sense. And all the tests that they did, they're like, yeah, you're having a stroke. Well, I felt awesome. I felt great. I felt like it was a really lazy Saturday morning and I'm just going to roll over and take a nap. And I was really tired. I just wanted a nap. So when I finally asked, can I just close my eyes and take a nap? And as soon as they said yes, I immediately found myself inside this massive cloud. And I was a part of it, and it was a part of me. And I heard it say to me, I felt it say, this is perfect. And somehow I knew it was talking about me. And I certainly do not consider myself perfect. So with my proper training as a good young girl, I said, are you kidding? I don't speak multiple languages. I haven't solved world hunger. I am not all that. And I heard, oh, you don't understand how this works. See, you're designed with your skills, abilities, talents, preferences, interests, as well as your faults, your foibles, your issues, your hot buttons, your challenges. And we put all of that together to create exactly what is needed right here. You are perfect because of your imperfections. And all of a sudden I was like, holy cow, Toto, we are not in Kansas anymore. And it was really interesting because every time I would think a question, the answer was suddenly there in my body, past, present, and future, colors we can't see, sounds we can't hear, stuff far beyond human comprehension. It was like swallowing Google whole every single time with all the likes, the videos, the shares, the keywords, the you name it, everything all at once. And I was having a ball. It was so cool because I was asking all these questions and all this stuff was coming in. After a while, I felt like I was kind of off in an alcove at a party, at a mixer, and I'm hanging with the divine, right? I'm here having a chat with God, and here goes Jesus, and you do the little head nod. You want to acknowledge people when they're going by, don't want to ignore them, but I'm not leaving this conversation. There goes Buddha, hey, Muhammad, nice to see you. Hey, angels, great, yeah. Ancestors, all of it. Everybody's there, but I'm having this conversation. And it was so incredible. And after a while, the questions weren't coming as fast anymore. There was a pause and I heard, are you sure you're done? And I said, well, we're halfway through the vacation. We're loving New Zealand. You really need to check it out. Oh, right. You probably know all about it. And they said, no. You said you were done thrashing. You said you were done trying to figure it out. If you're sure you're done, we can use that ectoplasm for something else. Are you sure you're done? Well, I had a deep knowing that I was really close to something in this lifetime. And if I chose to stay, while it was wonderful, I would have had to start over all the way back at the beginning to get back to where I was at that point. And that would have been a lot of extra work. And so I said, no, I'm not done. And I heard, great, get back and get busy. And I came out of the stroke with absolutely no damage, none at all. The only proof I have that I had a stroke is the hospital bill. And thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing about your NDE, Elaine. Do you mind if I ask you some questions about it?
Go for it. Go for it.
You mentioned that you had so many questions and then you would receive these massive downloads. That's my language I'm putting on it. But I had the same experience in my out-of-body experience, and I'm just wondering, do you remember what any of those questions were? Are you walking a spiritual path alone and longing for a place where you can belong? I created the sanctuary for you. When you join the sanctuary, you'll get access to a thriving spiritual community with chat threads and forums where we discuss all things spiritual, as well as a growing library of practical tools such as meditation soundtracks, challenges, and recorded energy work sessions for you to use on your own time. My 8-week intensive course, Alchemy, is also available in the sanctuary, as well as a library of extended podcast episodes and exclusive live calls with experts in the spiritual community. I keep the sanctuary very affordable with multiple tiers that can fit every budget level because I firmly believe that nobody should be excluded from spiritual community and resources. All tiers have access to all the benefits. Check the link in the description, find the tier that works for you, and come join us. I can't wait to meet you. I'm just wondering, do you remember what any of those questions were?
Yes, I do. In fact, I actually created a whole product where I talk about the different questions that I asked and the answers I received. And I continue to receive downloads to this day. I am very adept now at opening myself to receive messages. And it was interesting because it was so incredible. I gotta tell you, Melissa, I have never experienced such all-encompassing love in my life. And I've been blessed with outstanding parents, wonderful family, amazing husband. This was different. This was like, whoa. And I was just blown away by this Niagara Falls of love. So when I came out of the stroke and I got back from my vacation, I started doing all this research and checking out what the spiritual master said, because I loved that sensation. I want that on tap. I want to turn that on permanently and just bathe in it. How do I get that all the time? And everything that I read, everything that I learned, it said, you just have to allow. You have to open your heart and allow. Well, I was allowing my little heart out. And every once in a while, I'd get a download. It always felt really good. But it was a lot closer to a leaky watering can than Niagara Falls. And I was getting a little ticked because, like, this is not working for me. So I did my meditation and I sit down to journal and I'm in a mood. And so I'm writing and I'm like, why isn't this allowing thing working for me? And I immediately got back the message, what is the image that comes to mind when you think of the word allow? Now, I never put this on anybody else. It's strictly my experience. You may have a completely different relationship with words, and that's cool. What works for you works for you. Don't fix it if it isn't broken, right? But I wanted something different. And I realized that every time I thought of the word allow, I saw myself behind a door with a chain on the door. And I am freaking out at the divine on the other side of the door, because what if I screw up? What if I do something wrong? What if I make a mistake? Holy cow. I mean, this is the freaking divine, people. I need to be on my game. I could mess up. And all of a sudden I realized, oh, for me, the word allow is a mind-based word because my mind really wants things to have a cause and effect. A nice, simple process with a guarantee at the end would be perfect, according to my mind. And I suddenly had this insight that this is so much beyond anything a human mind can truly understand. It can't be a mind-based word for me. I needed a heart-based word. And I really wanted something that would represent the sort of relationship I crave with the divine. And I realized the relationship I want is BFFs. I want best friends forever. I want to finish each other's sentences. I want to have inside jokes. I want to rib each other. I want to tease each other. I want to feel completely guided and embraced by the divine in every moment. And so I really had to think about it. What is my word? What really represents that? And I finally realized that my word is welcome. And you can feel the energetic difference between allow, maybe I will, maybe I won't. It's all about control for me, or welcome. There's no control, there are no stipulations, there's no requirements. You are welcome. That made all the difference in how the downloads would pour through.
I love that. And I have a feeling that will be helpful to a lot of people. It's interesting because I interviewed RJ Spina.
Yeah.
And he had said a similar thing, except it was with the word acceptance. That to him, acceptance has a feeling of contraction. And to him, allowance has a feeling of letting go. And now it's like you're taking that to the next level, even beyond allowance, into welcoming.
Every single person has a different relationship with words. So I never, ever want to put something on anyone. Feel into the energy of the word yourself because it really makes a difference to you. And I want to share another story with you, Melissa, if that's all right.
Yes, please.
So a few months ago now, I was in my kitchen doing dishes. I was just kind of musing over how sometimes you're working on a project and it all comes together really quickly and easily. It's a breeze, it's a snap, it's no big deal. And then other times you're working on a project and it is an absolute slog. It doesn't matter what you do. You hit roadblock, challenge, issue, problem. Oh, it's just beyond frustrating. And I was wondering, why does that happen? And all of a sudden, I felt and heard a very loud, forceful voice in my body that said, when you deny your power is denied to you. When you acknowledge your power is shown to you. You are more powerful than you can imagine. And I quickly dried my hands. I went and wrote it down. I'm like, denying my power? Dang, what am I? Sorry, didn't mean to do that. How am I denying my power? And I realized that often the words I use are subtly undermining my power. And I didn't even realize it. So I am getting better, not 100% perfect. I'm getting better at trading out things like I want, I need, I will try for I choose, I intend, I am, because it's all about my power. And am I living in my power or am I denying my power and pretending that I can't get things done? Because one of the things that was shown to me during my stroke, you are in partnership with the divine. So often people think, oh no, I'm this lowly little ant and God is this big entity up there and maybe they'd pay attention to me. That's not what's happening. You are side by side working in tandem with the divine and they are counting on you. So it's just like any other partnership. There's some things you're really good at, some things they're really good at, and you collaborate to get things done.
Are there any words that you just no longer use that you've cut out of your vocabulary?
Like I said, I'm doing my best to release the words I want, I need, I will try, because those are really things that don't serve me. And I'm also paying a lot of attention to my emotions. I tend to feel really upbeat and really happy all the time. And part of that is training myself to feel really upbeat and really happy all the time.
Right.
Because one of the messages I received recently is everything is love and everything is guiding you to love. And every conversation you have is a request for love. Because when you show up and you're having a conversation with somebody, it'd be really nice if they liked you. It'd be kind of nice if they appreciated what you had to say and they were interested in you. It would be really nice. And they're looking for the same thing from you, especially if they're in a bad mood or they're having a really tough time. It's not about you. When someone lashes out, it's never about you. It is a deep need and request for love. And you are being guided to love. You are being reminded that you are love. And so there are three key things the divine wants us to do. This is something that I learned during my stroke. The first thing is they want us to be love in every moment. Be love for yourself and be love for others. The second thing is to notice the love that is already present. And they're not going to make it easy. It's a lot like a scavenger hunt, frankly. You have to ask different questions, get a different perspective, a new outlook. It's things like, how is this helping me grow? How is this guiding me to be more love? How is this reminding me that I am love? Right? It's a little tricky, but notice how love is already present for you. And then the third thing is get together with other people, because every time you do, you collaborate to create more opportunities for love. And the interesting thing is, I know I'm telling you all these stories, but I really want to share this.
Yeah, I want to hear it. Are you feeling disconnected from spirit, from divine love, and from your true divine nature? I would love to work with you. In my sessions, I give a divine love transfusion to balance and support your energy field, as well as for any emotional or physical areas of need. And I give you intuitive feedback on simple implementable practices that you can take with you to shift your state of being from disconnection to deep connection with your divine nature and with your divine guidance and love. Packages of 1, 2, or 4 sessions are currently available. One session is perfect for a deep energy center tune-up and powerful divine love transmission, while a 4-session package is best if you're seeking a profound transformation. This is your invitation to open the door to connecting with the love that is already within you, that all the NDEers and spiritual experiencers talk about. Check the link in the description to sign up.
I know I'm telling you all these stories, but I really want to share this.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
During my stroke, they asked me a rhetorical question. They said, okay, everything is love. You are love. The air you are breathing is love. The chair you're sitting in is love. The God of your understanding is love. Absolutely everything is love. So, how do you expand love when everything already is love? I was totally stumped. I had no idea. They said, well, we decided to create human beings who do not think that everything is love. So you enjoy contrast, the difference between what is wanted and what is not wanted. And that friction gives you the superpower of choice. You either step back in fear, trying to stay safe and comfortable with what you already know and understand, or you step forward with grateful curiosity and love, looking for the blessings, looking for how this is love for you in every moment. And every time you step forward, you expand the divine. You expand love. Being physical, being human is the expansion joint of God. This is how God grows. And you have been physical many times in the past. You will be physical many times in the future, because this is the rock star place to be. It is not easy. It's not supposed to be easy, because the way we really help the divine grow is here we are in alignment with the divine, and we go out of alignment. We get triggered. Something pisses you off. Something's overwhelming or confusing, and you're just out of alignment. You're not feeling it. Well, when you notice that you're out of alignment and then you use your tools to get back into alignment, it's that being out and going back in that expands the divine. So they're constantly giving you challenges and issues and opportunities to go out of alignment so that you'll go, dang it, and go back into alignment. But don't worry about it. Being out of alignment is not a problem. It's kind of like being on a teeter-totter. At first it feels like you're way out on the edges of the teeter-totter. And so every time you get out of alignment, it feels really extreme. But after a while, you work your way in towards the middle where, yeah, you notice there's some ups and downs, but it doesn't throw you off your game. You're totally aware of what's going on and you immediately realign with the divine. And all of it is perfect. Everything is there to serve you and guide you to love.
I love how you explain that so beautifully. It's one of the biggest questions that people have that I hear the most often is why, if we are already perfect, loving beings, do we have to come here to learn about love, which we hear about from NDEers? Going back to your NDE, are you able to share any of the downloads that you received in your NDE or any of the questions that you asked?
Well, I have been that you are perfect because of your imperfections.
Okay, so those were from your NDE. Yeah.
Yes. And then the 3 different things that God wants us to do, that was during my NDE. The rhetorical question, that was during my NDE. Yeah. So I also have absolutely no fear of death and dying anymore. And I honestly believe that this happened for a really good reason at that particular time, because after my stroke, my husband and I spent the next 10 years helping his parents and my parents with end of life and transitioning. And it was a long process, but I was able to be fully present and just enjoy being with them and not worry about them, because I understood that there is no such thing as an ending. It's actually a graduation. It's not like you're done. There's a whole lot more. The physical body is done. But it's kind of like you've listened to that song and you're ready to listen to a new song on the album. I'm dating myself by saying an album, right? It's like you finished that chapter and now you're going to read the next chapter, and it's all really good. The best analogy I've been able to find is kind of like when I was in kindergarten and then I went to first grade. When I was in kindergarten, we had nap time and we got raisins once a week, which was way cool. But when I went to first grade, no more nap time and no more raisins. But the thing is, it's like when you're physical, you have a body. When you're not physical, you don't have a body. But there's so much more going on. There's more to learn. There's more to do. And it's all love. It's all understood. It's all perfect. So don't worry about anything. Don't stress about anything. One more thing. You are a blessing and you are blessed, which means you have the ability to bless and the responsibility to bless. So I don't know if you're familiar with the 7-day mental diet.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it was invented like in the 1930s, I think. And the concept behind the 7-day mental diet is for 7 days, you do not blame, shame, judge, criticize, or gossip at all. No negative stuff out of you. And you don't subject yourself to negative stuff. So you don't watch the news, you don't read the newspaper, you don't absorb bad juju. No negative in, no negative out, right? So I was practicing the 7-day mental diet. It's a practice. I went to the grocery store, and I kid you not, every single aisle, there were people arguing about something. Wow. I get to the checkout line and I see about a natural disaster in the headlines, and I overhear somebody complaining about something in the politics. And so I get my groceries, I go out to the car, I sit down, I connect with the divine, and I'm like, seriously? I'm trying to be positive here and you are not helping. And they said, you have to understand, we are guiding you and you are guiding us. Every time you see something that you do not know how to fix personally, like the homeless situation, like people who are starving, people who are suffering from having their homes burned or losing their job, we expect you to immediately envision everyone involved or impacted 2 energetic levels above where they are now. Right now, they're in the flames. We expect you to envision them as the phoenix, whole, healed, perfect, thriving. Because as you do that and you send them love and blessings, then we are able to support them. We are guiding you and you are guiding us.
That's profound.
Don't think your energy doesn't matter. It really makes a difference. No, I'm talking your ear off, but I have to share one more thing.
Yes, go for it.
Meg, you're going to wish you'd never invited me on the show.
Oh, okay. No, of course not.
So after the stroke, here I am. I'm working on myself, really trying to reconnect and get all this stuff rolling. And I was feeling a little bit like sometimes we do. Well, is it selfish for me to focus so much on me? Is this egotistical for me to really try to get my own consciousness up? And I was guided to read a wonderful book called Connected. It has a very long subtitle, Surprising Power of Our Social Networks and How They Shape Our Lives. Just remember Connected. It's written by two social scientists who taught at different universities at the time. And they were both really curious about the whole 6 degrees of separation thing. They wanted to find out how real that is. So they got a bunch of grad students together and did a massive study, and they discovered something that they call the 3 degrees of influence rule. It turns out that you have influence over your friends, 3 levels away from you. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. I wonder how many people that is. So I asked Dr. Google, and she came back with a recently published article from the New York Times citing research that states the average American knows about 600 people. And I thought, what? Not a chance. Not a way in the world I know 600 people. So I asked a couple of friends of mine who were very knowledgeable. They said, that's really low. You know, closer to 1,000 people. I was like, okay, fine. Time out. I didn't do the math. Some researcher somewhere figured out that everybody knows about 600 people. So let's just pretend they have the right number and see what happens. So if you imagine a bullseye where you're at the center of a bullseye and there are 3 rings around you representing your friends, well, that first ring is the 600 people you know. And they all know 600 people. That's 360,000 people in your second ring. And they all know 600 people. That's 216 million people in your third ring. So according to the social scientists who wrote the book Connected, everything you think, feel, say, and do ripples out to 216,360,600 people. You being you is incredibly powerful. And they actually measured how powerful it truly is. Here's the really cool part. It turns out that when you are doing your best to come from your highest self and stay in alignment and not beating yourself up when you're out of alignment, but treating it like a game and playing with it to come back into joyous alignment, those 600 people in your first ring are 15% more likely to do it too. And the 360,000 people in your second ring are 10% more likely to do the same thing. And those 216 million people that you're convinced there's not a way in the world, they're 6% more likely to do the same because your energy is entrained. And you are kind of like that drop that starts the ripple effect. Yes, you are so much more powerful than you know. So treating yourself with love and kindness, nourishing yourself, loving yourself is a really important and powerful thing for you to do.
This is so powerful. I feel like we could just park here for the rest of the interview and dissect it because I have so many mental connections going off right now. One of the first things that comes to mind is that a lot of the great spiritual masters have said things like the best thing that you can do for the planet is focus on your own spiritual evolution. And this is putting some science as to how that is the case, that oftentimes the spiritual based responses that we're able to give, like prayer or meditation, when we're not able to do something practical. And that's not to say to downplay that, because if you can help, I believe you absolutely should help practically, but we can't always. And sometimes all we can do is pray or meditate or send good energy. And that tends to be looked down on sometimes, when actually, according to what you're saying, it's incredibly powerful. And just imagine if somebody in that third ring had 2 or 3 or even 5 people in their circle somewhere that was becoming self-aware, focusing on their spiritual evolution, their percentage would go way up from 6%. And like, this is how we change the world. This is how we do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And another great person with wonderful research to check out is Lynn McTaggart.
Yes, I was just thinking of her.
She's freaking awesome. I love her. She's an American journalist, and she married a Brit. She lives in London, and she was convinced that all this woo-woo stuff was hokum, and she wanted to prove it. So she got together with a bunch of scientists, and they ran various studies and found out just how effective it really truly is. And now I read her book, The Power of Eight, which is all about setting an intention. I always point at my heart when I say intention. It's what we choose to create and how we choose to feel about it. And it's very much like typing an address into a spiritual GPS. This is what we are creating together, Divine. Thank you so much for guiding me to this destination. Yeah. And so she teaches people how to do intentions and how to create an intention group. And I've been doing this for years now. I run my own intention group, and the energy is through the roof. Because the key thing to understand, you may be listening to Melissa, you might be listening to me. We are just exactly like you. We are on our own expansion path, journey. There isn't like some Uber guru for you to revere. No, we are you and you are us, and your energy is connected to ours. Why? Because you're listening to us, because you're watching us. That's all it takes. Every book you've read, you're connected with the author. You're connected with the artist who did the cover work. You're connected with the editor. You're connected with everybody involved. Your connections, your energy is so much more than you imagine. And that's why it's really important to pay attention to, how am I feeling? And is this truly mine, or is it something that I picked up? Because everybody is asking for love, everybody. And I have the obligation and responsibility to love myself first and fill myself with infinite divine love so that I'm so overflowing, I can support everyone around me.
I love that. Elaine, I want to go back to something you said right before your NDE. You were struggling in your business. And I'm looking for the exact words that you had mentioned, that you were done thrashing and done, maybe ready to settle for the status quo, you said, and to just be grateful with how your life was proceeding. Then you had this NDE where they asked you, are you sure that you're done? Now, I'm really curious about this specifically because I had a similar experience with my business where I felt so overwhelmed. Things were not progressing the way I wanted them to. And I got to the point of being done and letting go. Now, I'm curious, for you, was that like a good thing to get to that point of being done? What was it that they wanted you to do with your business when you came back?
Well, the thing that was so interesting before the stroke and my NDE, I didn't really woo, let alone woo woo. And then after that, it was like, holy cow, I've got a totally different way of looking at the world now. And my business wasn't my primary focus. And I also needed to shift focus to be more flexible and available for my parents and my in-laws. And so I slowly, gradually shut that business down. I wrote a book, Why 5% Succeed. And it was still very businessy oriented as I gave myself more and more permission to be very open about my stroke and about the messages that I receive and the guidance that I receive, because that's really at the core of everything. It's kind of like, you think your life is really busy. Well, breath is what empowers life. And so when we forget to take those big, deep breaths and we wonder why we're super stressed out and things are going wrong, you breathe a little, right? And spirituality is exactly the same way. It's at the core of everything. It empowers and embodies everything. It's the nourishment that you crave. So I empowered myself to let go of the old thing and completely start anew. I do coaching. I'm a spiritual abundance coach, and I work with people privately, one-on-one. I also have training with group coaching, and I do a lot of public speaking because it's very important for people to understand who they truly are, the embodiment of the divine, and all that is possible for them. Because you actually have all the same gifts and abilities of any of the spiritual masters. You've just forgotten. You've forgotten. And now you're learning to let go of all of the rules and regulations and barriers and responsibilities, the veils that you put between you and the truth of who you are. And the more you let go of that, the better your intuition becomes, the easier things are to see, the more you experience everything as love. But the other thing that I think is really important for people to understand, I really love the book Power versus Force by David Hawkins. And I liked his other book, The Map of Consciousness Explained, even more because I got it better with that one. In both books, he says, as soon as you adopt the consciousness level of love, where absolutely everything you experience and witness, you interpret as a form of love, and everything you express is love and compassion. As soon as you commit to that, the opposite shows up. Why? Because we live in a world of duality and we have to choose in every moment, choose love, choose love, choose love. And there are times when we forget and we choose being pissed off instead.
Right.
Whoops. I'm going to share one more story.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're getting bombarded today. So I was out running some errands and I was driving my husband's truck. And it's kind of large. Me and spatial relationships, we have kind of a distant connection at best. So I'm very carefully backing out of this parking space. And out of the corner of my eye, I see somebody flying through the parking lot like it's a racetrack. And I'm thinking, boy, that is not safe. And I'm looking around, backing up. All of a sudden, somebody honked. And I didn't even look, but it sure sounded like they were honking at me. And I went from happy, joy to pissed off in a nanosecond, baby. And I started thinking all kinds of nasty things about whoever that driver was. They weren't just dropped on their head as a child. They were dribbled repeatedly. And I was having fun with my righteous indignation. And the divine interrupted me. And they were like, okay, wait a second. We keep telling you that absolutely everything is designed to be a blessing for you. Whatever you're saying to yourself does not sound like a blessing. So we want you to make up a story where the moral of the story is that honk was actually a blessing. What does that story sound like? And I had to think about it for a minute, but I thought, you know what? Maybe I was about to hit something. I could have had an accident and that would have been expensive, lots of extra time. It would have been a real pain. Not having an accident, that's actually a blessing. And you know what? They probably had a different vantage point on my parking space. I mean, I immediately hit the brakes and I cranked on the wheel and I got out of that space. I didn't think I had room, but maybe they were just being a good neighbor. And it was kind of like a thumbs up. You're good. You've got this. Go for it. And all of a sudden, the real message came through. I'm the bad guy. I'm the one who's been blocking my blessings all this time because of the stories that I've been making up about what just happened. Every time I make up a story that it is not a blessing, I don't get the blessing. But I have a choice. I can choose blessings anytime I want to.
So inspiring, Elaine. I would love to give you a moment to share with people more about your work and where they can find you.
Absolutely. Please visit my website, theabundancejourney.com. And I love hearing from people. You can reach out to me, Elaine, at theabundancejourney.com. All the information about my programs is there. And it's truly for you when you're ready to incorporate your spiritual knowing. You've received lots of training. You're very adept. You're very skilled. And yet for some reason, you don't feel like it's embodied. This is the opportunity to truly integrate that training. So you understand where you're coming from and you learn to get out of your mind and into your heart. Because when you lead with your heart, everything opens up. You don't actually have to understand everything because you're in partnership with infinite intelligence and it does understand everything. So yeah, life is much easier and far more joyful when you can relax in the unfolding and treat it like a surprise party. Another blessing in every moment.
I will have Elaine's links in the description so people can check those out. Elaine, I would like to close out by asking you a couple questions that I ask all of my guests. The first question is, that love that you felt in your NDE that you described like Niagara Falls of love, which, by the way, I've heard another NDEer describe it that way, Kimberly Clark Sharp. I like to share that just in case you didn't know. She talked about how it was the love combined with the raw power that caused her to describe it that way, which I just thought was so cool. But what is the best way for people to connect with that love while in the body? I know we already covered that a little bit, but is there anything else that you would like to share?
I'd like to do a very short, simple exercise right now, with your permission.
Yes, I would love to.
Okay, we're going to take 3 long, slow, deep breaths together. And as we breathe in through the nose, think the words, I am. And as we breathe out through the mouth, think the word consciousness. Let's breathe together right now. Breathe in, I am. Breathe out, consciousness. Breathe in, I am. Breathe out, consciousness. Breathe in, I am. Breathe out, consciousness. And as we rest for a moment here, in this beautiful space of infinite divine grace, you can feel how deeply loved and cherished you are by the God of your understanding. You can feel the love all around you, bouncing through you with joy, delight, wonder. Everything is here to guide you to love, to remind you that you are love, and being love is your superpower. Take another deep breath in, and when you're ready, open your eyes and come back into the room. Now, I do this exercise at the beginning of every single episode of my show, The Abundance Journey, and I do it deliberately to combine our energies, because we are now one. We are always one, and not just for a day because you happen to listen to this podcast, but for lifetimes. It is permanent. It is forever. And so every time you're questioning something, every time you want to know something, relax, take 3 deep breaths. I am consciousness. And don't worry about it if you didn't line up with the inhale and exhale perfectly that I did. That's not the point. The God of your understanding knows exactly what you're up to, knows exactly what you're doing, and will take you right in to infinite divine grace immediately. Now, pay attention, because every time doubts come up, that's the mind trying to understand and control everything. So you thank the mind for trying to keep you safe and immediately go back into your heart where your intention is. And your intention is to be one with the divine, one with the God of your understanding, saturated by infinite divine love. Just accept that that is your intention and welcome it in.
Thank you so much, Elaine. I really appreciate you walking us through that step by step. And my final question is, if you could give one message to everyone on the planet, what would it be?
You are a blessing, and you are blessed. And because you are blessed, you have the power to bless. So remember to send love and blessings out to everyone involved or impacted in a difficult situation. Remember to bless your food, bless your water. Remember to bless yourself. You are so much more powerful than you know.
Thank you so much for watching. My guests' links can be found in the description box. If you have had a near-death experience, pre-birth experience, out-of-body experience, past or between life memories, or spiritual awakening story that you would like to share, find the link to apply in the description box. If you would like to support the channel, we have a few fun ways that you can do that. I do have a merch store linked in the description. We've put some of the phrases on t-shirts that you guys requested. I have affiliate links to my favorite blue blockers, my favorite red light panel, and a couple of other companies that I work with. You can join my membership at the Sanctuary. You can sign up for an energy healing. I also offer a 4-session energy healing package. You'll find all these links in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your support. Now go live your most extravagantly loving life.